It's Mikey, and it is Friday night out here on the West Coast. I wanted to jump back in for a live because turned out that after I spent 20 minutes thinking I was recording yesterday's live on my drive home yesterday, I went ahead and uploaded that file, and YouTube was telling me, oh, yeah, you recorded about 20 minutes worth of content. And, I got everything uploaded, and something made me go in and hit play so I can check out the video. And when I went in there and hit play, there was only 3 minutes, like 3 minutes and 8 seconds or something like that, of video that got recorded. And I remember when I was driving and recording that there was a moment where it said, reconnecting, like we had hit a dead zone or a spot where the connection kind of failed. And then it came back. And so I just kept talking through because I figured, it resolved itself. It's going to record, and maybe you guys will just see a little glitch, in the video for that time where it was trying to reconnect. And turns out it didn't record. It didn't record. So while I was venting and talking and sharing, right, everything that I had to get off of my chest yesterday, turned out that it fell on deaf ears. No pun intended. It fell on deaf ears. No one got to hear the bulk of it. You probably got to hear the 3 minutes that were recorded. And so I wanted to come back on here and pick up the conversation because I didn't want to leave that 3-minute video up there with, an incomplete conversation discussion. So it's Friday. It's been a long week, as I said in the other video. It's been a long week. There's, just a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in life, right? We're all trying to do the best we can. We're all just trying to, make it through another day. And some days that can be really, really, really overwhelming to deal with all of the noise in the world, all of the noise in our life. And so, I'm finding it hard to manage all of the craziness that's going on in the world right now. And one of the things I've noticed is that social media isn't helping. Social media isn't helping to quiet down the noise and ease up the stress and the feeling of overwhelm. And so for this past week and the last couple of weeks, it's just been super exhausting. And, I don't know if you guys are feeling it. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're feeling it. It's so exhausting to have all this noise around you about things that are going on and things that you have no control over, right? A lot of the stuff that's happening all around the world, we don't have a whole lot of control over it. Not right now, not in this moment. All we have control over is ourselves and how we react to the noise and the craziness. And so, what I was talking about yesterday before the connection got lost and the video got cut, was that, how am I dealing with this, and how do I want to deal with this? But I also wanted it to be a conversation about how are you dealing with this, right? Because I feel like we're all dealing with the same craziness and the same nonsense, but we may not be dealing with it in the best ways. So I'm curious how you guys are dealing with it. Ellie, thanks for joining. The topic is basically on how are we dealing with the craziness in the world today. How are we coping? How are we taking care of ourselves? How are we taking care of our, mental states, and getting through our days? One thing I started doing, today's day 15, I started intermittent fasting, and I've combined that with a keto diet. I've been working on trying to improve my health and eat better, eat healthier, right? Because along with all of the stress in our day, all of the stress at work and home and our personal lives, if you're not healthy or you're not feeling healthy or you're not feeling well, it can really make or break you. And for a very long time, for at least the last, year, I've been feeling pretty unwell. I've been feeling pretty sick, and and I know I've put on some weight, right? It's I'm not gonna lie, I've put on some weight. And so I'm working on controlling that, because part of the reason I've put on the weight is because I turn to food for comfort. When I'm emotional, when I'm stressed, I'm turning to food. And I have a horrible, horrible sweet tooth. I love, anything sweet, pastries, chocolate, you name it. And, and, while I'm told that everything in moderation, when you're stressed, when you're emotional, you're not thinking about moderation. You're not thinking about, oh, let me just have one of these, or you know what, maybe I don't really need it. We'll skip it. You're not thinking straight because you're emotional, right? And so your body, the chemicals going on in your body are feeding off of that. And so I've had to work to get that under control. And so I started the intermittent fasting to help me at least focus on something, right? Something I can control. I can control the time I eat, or the times I eat. So I'm doing like an 16-8 intermittent fasting. So I'm eating within an 8-hour window, and then I'm fasting for 16 hours. And that's rough. Today's day 15, and it can be rough. I'm getting better and better and better. Um, hey, JR47, move on. And so, I'm getting better at it. And I think that as the time goes on, I'm doing 12 weeks. I'm focused on 12 weeks for now. And then I will eventually transition over from keto and intermittent fasting to maybe something more like low carb Mediterranean. In the 15 days I've been doing this so far, I've already dropped about 12 pounds. I know a lot of that is probably like water weight, a little bit of, fat probably. But the bottom line is that it's allowed me to focus on something else. And yeah, Mark, I get it. Keto is fine, depending. Yeah, I know. I've heard a lot of different things. The only reason I'm using the keto as a stepping point for me is because I need to get the sugar under control. Yeah, exactly. I'm working on getting my sugar under control. My A1C is, on that borderline side. My glucose has been, kind of on that borderline side. And so I am working hard these 12 weeks to get that under control. I have a follow-up with my doctor in about 3 months, right? But the keto and the intermittent fasting is helping me again for focus. It's allowing me to focus and stay focused with everything else that's going on outside the world. I know when I'm eating, I know what I'm eating, I know how I'm eating. And so it's just allowed me to be able to control one more thing about my life. And so, once I've gotten better there, I've done this before. I've done paleo, I've done Whole30, I've done a bunch of other things. It's been 6 years, 7 years since I did Whole30, which is kind of like a paleo, kind of very restrictive, diet. And I did that for a year. And in my first like 3 or 4 months, I lost about 35 pounds. So, it worked for me. The problem is that when I transitioned back to my regular eating habits and not get the mindset right, I went back into the sugar craze, and the sugar is what gets me into trouble. The sugar is what gets me into trouble. I'll see it and I have to have it. And so I've been working very hard these last 15 days. It's 15 days only so far out of 12 weeks, but I've been working really hard these 15 days to, especially at work, they get a lot of catered food, catered treats, snacks, you name it, sugar, sugar, sugar. We got a vending machine where everything in there is like 25 cents, and you've got all these candy bars and everything. It's like, when you're stressed at work, it's like, I need something. And, I just try to make sure that I'm having other healthy snacks with me, string cheese, maybe some jerky, some other things that I can snack on, sugar-free, dark chocolates, just to get through the day. And so again, that's just one thing that I'm using, one thing I'm working on to just stay focused, tune out the noise from the world and the craziness, and help make me feel better so that when I'm stressed, I'm not crazy, right? And so the other thing I want to get back to that I talked about yesterday before it got cut off was I want to get back into my meditation practice. I used to be able to sit for 20, 30, 45 minutes and just focus on my deep breathing and some mantras just to help stay positive and focused, start my day on a good foot. It's very easy to say, oh, I'm going to do this later. I'm going to do that later. And then later comes and you never do it, right? And then at that point, you're stressed like crazy. The day has gotten ahead of you. It's now late in the evening. It's dinner time. Now you're like full and tired. And it's like, oh, I'm not going to sit now. I'll do it later. So what I've been doing is when I catch myself feeling tense, when I catch myself holding my breath because I may be on social media and reading through a bunch of craziness, and I'll stop. I'll acknowledge that it's happening, and I'll take a deep breath. And I'll take a big, deep belly breath, right? Because I want to breathe, because I've likely been holding my breath and my body's like clenched and tight, like, oh my God, what's going on? And so I'll just relax. I'll take a deep belly breath. I'll take another deep belly breath. I may say some mantras in my head. And so I'm just trying to get back into a habit of doing either some mantra meditation, some sitting meditation during the day or in the evening, just to get my mind right, and turn off the noise. I'm a deaf, hard of hearing person, so I have a cochlear implant. I have a hearing aid that I wear, and so it's very easy for me when shit gets crazy and it's too noisy and loud. I could easily take off my cochlear implant and take off my hearing aid, and I could be in total silence, right? But that doesn't mean that my mind is silent. I can turn off the noise around me, but it doesn't mean that my mind is silent. My mind is spinning and running 1,000 miles an hour. It gets to the point where I feel like I'm running a mental marathon all day, every day. And so, especially for this last week, it's just been so exhausting because my mind, there's just so much going on, trying to process everything that's happening in the world. And there's not much I can do about it. So I need to be able to go in and tell myself, either through my meditation or my mantras or just, taking deep breaths, I'm okay, right? I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. We're going to be okay, one day at a time. Just have to take it one day at a time. So I'm working on not only just, addressing my diet and health and stress, but addressing my mental state and trying to remind myself that I'm okay. I'm safe. We're going to be okay, one day at a time. Just breathe. Another thing I learned recently is tapping, where you do certain taps on your body, and you can bring down your nervous system and turn off the fight or flight. So I've been working on tapping when I feel like things are really out of control, where I feel anxious, or really, 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 really tense, or my blood pressure is like through the roof because, whatever is going on today. So tapping is another method I use, or I'm learning how to use. We just had a workshop on this, and I'm learning how to, dial into that. So yeah, these are just some things I'm personally dealing with, and personally doing for myself. I wanted to have a conversation about, what others are doing, because again, like I said, I'm not the only one, right? A lot of us are dealing with the same things. A lot of us are trying to figure out ways to cope and to reduce our stress and to stay healthy and take care of ourselves. It's another form of self-care. Finding time to take care of you, because you can't take care of anyone else. You can't do other things for other people or change the world if you're not taking care of yourself and changing yourself first. And so these are just some things I'm doing for myself. These are things I've learned, over the years. I'm gonna be 50 in a couple of months, right? I'm originally from New York City, Latino here, and I'm out here in Southern California now, just trying to live my best life. And it's a challenge for me to do that, with everything else that's going on. And I've been just trying to get focused again. That's really what I'm trying to do, is just get focused. And so I'd love to hear what you guys are doing. I'd love to hear how you guys are dialing in on stress and dialing in on your self-care. How are you guys doing? What are you doing? How are you doing? And I'd love to have a conversation. I'd love to open up some dialogue on that. Leave me a comment. Tell me how you're feeling, how you're doing. Again, right now it's Friday. It's 8:55 p.m. here in Southern California. And, it's been a week. So how are you guys doing? What are you doing for self-care? What are you doing to help reduce stress in your life? How are you, going about it? What do you want to do? Maybe we can explore those kind of topics together. I'm open to, exploring things. This vlog I created, to share, my day-to-day, right? My lifestyle, the trips that we go on, the food we're exploring out here in Southern California, my experiences. But most of all, this vlog I'm creating for real talk, right? It's about real talk, about real life. And, there's a lot of shit going on in the world today. And we're all dealing with it. We're all dealing with it. And so I think, it's important for us to be able to talk about it, figure out how to cope around it, deal with it, and get through it, right? But it all starts with us, right? It all starts with taking care of ourselves, taking care of our mindsets, taking care of our body. And once you've done those things and you've locked those things down, you can make an impact, for others. I love to share what I learn. I love to share, especially with my friends and family, the things I learn, because I'm always learning something new. Like I said, we just learned about the tapping and using the tapping technique for reducing stress and reducing and bringing down your fight or flight, right? To help address anxiety and stress and all that other stuff. The keto and the intermittent fasting that I'm doing. Thanks for checking out my other video, Dirty Little Bathroom Secret. Yes, thank you for checking that out. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked that one out, go check it out. If you're in need of a laugh and some interesting information, go check that video out. It was very fun to record. Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I want this blog to be, super informative about things that are going on around us, how I'm dealing with it. I want you to come to this page and check out all the awesome trips that we're taking, the food that we're enjoying. I'm a deaf, hard of hearing Latino, like I said, out here in Southern California, originally born and raised in New York City. I'm a tech geek. I am a sci-fi nerd, comic books. You know, yes, yes. And I love to share. I love to share what I know, what I love. And so that's what I want this vlog to be about. I want it to be about real shit, real life. I want it to be raw. I want it to be unfiltered, because I've got an Instagram account. I've got a Facebook account, and on Instagram, I'm also an artist. And I've on my Instagram profile, I've had probably 5 or 6 different Instagram profiles, especially for my art. And mainly because they keep filtering me. Instagram just keeps, deleting my accounts because they're trying to filter my art. So I wanted this space here on YouTube to be raw, real, and unfiltered. And so that's my hope for this page. We'll see if Instagram decides to cancel me out and delete my account here because I'm too raw and too unfiltered. But yeah, I want it to be about real conversations. I want it to be real, feel real. One of the things I see other YouTubers do is they do like day in the lives. I see some folks that, are filming their like whole day at the same time as the day goes. So, they do very little cuts and edits. As you'll see in some of my videos, I do some transition work and some edits, and I like to add some special effects and graphics and sound effects and stuff like that, just to keep it interesting, just to keep it fun. And I don't know if you guys enjoy that. I don't know if you feel, I mean, I see that it looks like you guys are enjoying the simplicity and the funny parts. So I'm guessing that the funny parts are paying off on there. But I want to mix that up with just some real world, real life, videos. I don't know what you guys want to see. Again, I'm out here in Southern California. So if there's anything you guys want to see, let me know. I'm happy to grab my cameras and go out and do some videos. We go out a lot on the weekends and we take road trips. You'll see in my videos, we were recently up in Morro Bay, Santa Barbara. We did Hearst Castle. I'm still trying to finish the editing on the Hawaii video. That was what I mentioned yesterday before the video got cut. I'm trying to finish the Hawaii video. We just spent, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we were in Hawaii for like 5 days, and we had a great time out there in Oahu, Waikiki area, and, saw Pearl Harbor. We did a luau. We went to botanical gardens. We spent time on the beach. I mean, we had a really great time. And so I'm working on trying to finish that video to share with you guys. So stay tuned. If you want to check that out, make sure you're subscribed to my page so that you'll get notified when that video is uploaded. I'm hoping to wrap that video up for next week. I just wanted to be able to come on today and do this live with y'all, to just have a conversation, to keep it real, talk about, the last couple of weeks have been really fucking heavy, really heavy, really heavy. This week, these last 10 days, 11 days have been really freaking heavy. A lot going on in the world, a lot of stress, a lot of craziness, a lot of noise. We're all dealing with it in one way or another, right? But at the end of the day, we're still human beings. We're still people. We're still just trying to live our best lives, right? And part of that is taking care of ourselves through self-care, making sure we're eating right, staying hydrated, all that good stuff, taking care of our mindset, mantra, prayer, go to church, whatever it is that you do it, get your mind right, focus in on the good stuff, and hopefully everything else will start following along. And that's basically where I'm at. That's what I'm trying to do, is focus on the good stuff, focus on the things I can control, my diet, my mindset, my stress, my breathing, right? Those types of things that I can control. Just focus in on those things, and hopefully everything else will fall in place. Day, one day at a time, one day at a time. That's all we can do. So again, drop me a comment. If anything I said here resonated with you, please, 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 I can't reach out to you. So if you're watching and I see there's a bunch of you guys watching and leaving some comments, awesome. I can only engage with you if you leave me a comment. So subscribe if you want to stay tuned to more of this type of real talk and unfiltered talk, and you enjoy, checking out road trips and food and whatever it is that this almost 50-year-old Latino here in Southern California finds interesting. If you have any ideas or you want to see things out there here in Southern California, let me know. Drop it in the comment. What do you like to see? Are you going to be coming out here and you want to check something out? Maybe I've already seen it. Maybe we can do a video on it and talk about it. Let's keep the dialogue going. Let's keep the conversation going. I look forward to sharing more with you guys as time moves on. Again, this keto intermittent fasting is going on right now for 12 weeks. I'm 2 weeks in, so 10 more weeks to go. I'm down 11 pounds. I'm working on this. I'm working on staying committed. I'm working on staying, focused on this. We'll see how it goes. So thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you all. Again, subscribe if you want to see more of this. Drop me a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.